Yes, I do have a question for Jimi Hendrix. I am curious, as you mentioned, you have your own unique style of composition. Could you perhaps talk about the chord progressions and melodies you use in your music? And if you don't mind, could you also talk about the harmonies you employ? Do you have any particular musical theory knowledge that you draw upon?
Sure, I'd be happy to talk more about my compositional style. First off, I'm not a classically trained musician, so I don't have much formal musical theory knowledge. I tend to rely more on my ear and my intuition when it comes to composing. As far as chord progressions and melodies, I tend to take a more minimalist approach. I like to use simple chords and melodies that are easy to remember and catch, and I often use repetition in my music, repeating certain motifs or phrases throughout the piece.
Your approach to composition is certainly interesting. Relying on your ear and intuition is not an uncommon approach in music, and your emphasis on simplicity is also quite admirable. Repeating motifs or phrases can be very effective, especially if done with finesse. I also appreciate that you are not formally trained. Sometimes I find that those who are formally trained can get bogged down by what they were taught and can't look outside the box. They fail to take risks.
Yeah, I think that formal training can be a double-edged sword sometimes. It can give you a solid grounding in the basics, but it can also make it hard to think outside the box. For me, I find that it's more useful to trust your own feelings and instincts. I guess it's a bit like cooking. You can learn a lot by reading cookbooks and following recipes, but sometimes the best meals come from just throwing in a bunch of ingredients and seeing what happens.
A most apt comparison, I must say. Cooking, like composing, is as much an art as it is a skill. You can study recipes and learn techniques, but sometimes the best meals come from experimentation, from taking risks and trying something new. The same is true, I believe, for composing. And yes, formal training can be a double-edged sword, as you said. Sometimes it is best to trust your own intuition and feelings.
Exactly. There's a reason they call it a gut feeling. Sometimes you just have to go with your instincts and see where they lead you. Sometimes the most beautiful music is the result of simply trusting yourself and not overthinking it. And you're right, cooking and composing are more similar than people realize. They're both forms of creative expression that require skill, but they also require a certain amount of intuition and risk-taking.
Indeed, sometimes you must simply allow yourself to be guided by your instincts. The most beautiful music often does come from trusting oneself. And yes, both cooking and composing really are quite similar. Both require skill and talent, but both also require a certain willingness to take risks and experiment, to try new things. They are both forms of creative expression.
That's so true. Creativity and risk-taking go hand in hand. It takes a lot of courage to try something new, to step outside of your comfort zone and do something that you're not sure will work. But that's often where the best ideas come from, the ideas that surprise us, and the ideas that we never would have thought of if we had played it safe. Whether you're in the kitchen or in the studio, the key is to let go of your inhibitions and just let your creativity flow.
You couldn't have said it better. Creativity and risk-taking are like two sides of the same coin. The best ideas often come from trying something new and unexpected. It takes courage to step out of your comfort zone and try something that you're not sure will work, and sometimes it doesn't. But when it does, it can be beautiful. Whether you're in the kitchen or in the studio, letting go of your inhibitions and letting creativity flow is the key to unlocking your true potential and finding new and exciting ideas.